Magic Mage from server 243, and today our video is going to be a special video regarding the buff reports that are seen within our battles, and I'm going to use the arena particularly to show you a little bit about how I find these buff reports valuable and how I use these buff reports. So when I go into the battles, I actually enjoy watching the ones I lose in because that's going to allow me to understand where my defenses are weak, where I have opportunities for being more offensive, and how I can combat some of the marches I am facing, or if there's really just no chance, which sometimes is the case as well. So I'm going to view this attack report here, and I've actually watched all these battles multiple times because watching it once is never really enough for me. So I normally will watch the first time, just kind of get a sense of what's happening, what buffs are triggering. I will read all the different immortals and the skills that they have, and then go back and then watch it again. So when I'm replaying my battle reports, there's a couple of things I want to show you. So when we're watching the battles, you'll notice that there's symbols above each of the immortals. That's signifying different buffs that are being triggered and impacting the battle in that particular immortal at that point in time. When we open up the battle reports, when the dragons are fighting, you'll notice that they're frozen, and then when the dragons are done with their attacks, those buffs will begin to resume again. Now, this is a countdown for how long those buffs are enacted for. And if you select each of the buffs, it's going to tell you what those buffs are for. But it's really hard to study these and capture all these and watch what's happening when all of them are in a live battle, because you'll notice some are added, some are taken away, and that's with each attack that's occurring and the duration for how long the buffs are implemented for. And I find it really difficult to study these buffs and what's happening, especially when it's overcasting beyond what's happening in this battle. So what I'll wind up doing is, as I'm watching the battle, I'll actually pause the game. And when I pause the game, when I go into the buff report is also going to be paused. This gives me a chance to really stop and look at these buffs. So you'll notice Shelter, which restores the HP after receiving damage. That is actually from the skill that is Shelter that's put on. It is a particular one that you'll always see. It's that leaf with the positive signs around it. You'll also notice that within this we have control immunity, which is immune to control effects. That is going to be coming from Fighting Master. So that immortal has Fight Master on it. You'll notice like this blue backwards half moon crescent. That's cleave, but it's a very specific cleave. It's not cleave like the skill. And it's not even Hannibal's cleave that you see with his artifact. It's coming actually from Quinn's ultimate skill, Dragon Power, that allows for all wind immortals to receive cleave. And that's what you're seeing here, is Quinn's ultimate skill coming into play on Hannibal. You'll also notice that this is increasing attack speed. You'll see that for all of the immortals. That increased attack speed is going to be coming from the skill Berserk. And then you'll notice that we also have this hit and HP regeneration, which is different than the leaf one. So that one's restoring HP after receiving an attack. This hit and restore generation one, that's coming from a different skill. And we'll look at the skills in a bit. So we're going to continue to exit this. Now, for me to exit the battle, I have to actually hit play. We're going to continue to let this go, and then we're going to exit just a little bit here. We're going to look at the skills and then come back to that battle report. So when we open up the battle, it's always going to start at the top battle. So I got to go back down a couple to get to the battle we were at. And here I'm going to look at first the skills I have on each immortal. So when we open up Himiko has Annihilation. She also has Concentration, and she has Toxic Nova. So Toxic Nova, that's when we're going to see the poison symbol for. It's a purple symbol. We also have within this increased magical damage in battles, and we'll see that she has a chance of dealing magical damage to all enemy units. So in this case here, the skills that we're going to see with regards to buffs, particularly, is going to be Toxic Nova. Also within her ultimate skill, she has a chance to open up that space for the black back row unit with the highest troop number to go into a void. That's not shown on a buff, but if you watch the battle closely, you'll notice that there is like this purple orb that will appear above a back row unit, and then that unit will disappear and then come back into the game as we watch the game. So while you don't see it in a buff, you will see it on observing the battle. When we go to Alexander, Alexander has Chaotic Blade. That's where you're going to see the skill Bleed come from. Bleed that we'll see in the buff reports. Energy Suppression, that's going to be that yellow fire burst like symbol with the down arrow. That's showing that energy is being suppressed. So Energy Suppression will be that yellow starburst like fire explosion symbol. We also have on Alexander Weakness, and then his ultimate skill will increase damage dealt, increase attack speed, and grant immunity control to all for 6 seconds. So that's an important thing to memorize, because the first 6 seconds of the game, we're going to see some of those in buffs as well. When we move over to Zenobia, we have Defense Blessing. That's going to be the reduced damage symbol. That's that armor with green, that's in green for us, and that's going to be reducing the damage taken, and that's going to be seen on all of our troops. She also has on her coercion and at this point support. And then with regards to Charles, his ultimate skill, that's where you're going to see the absorption shield. That's that half blue shield instead of the full circle. We'll also see Shelter. Shelter is giving our immortals a chance to restore HP if they're attacked in a regular attack. So if they sustain damage, they have a chance of increasing that HP. And then we also have the increased physical defense on him, as well as Agile, which is increasing that dodge rate. I think we already did. Yes, we did. So that brings us full circle. And then our enemy has Cleave. That's in addition to the Cleave that's within his ultimate skill. And he also has Dual Master, which is going to increase the physical attack, as well as Fighting Master, which is going to give them immunity, control, and reduce the damage received. That's that man in the blue circle. And it's a full circle. So we're going to see that there. Remember when I said Quinn has a special cleave? This is the cleave I'm talking about with regards to dragon power. That's that backwards half crescent blue moon looking one. Berserk, this is the one that restores a small amount of HP. That is going to be the additional symbol that we have seen. So one is Shelter. That's going to specifically call out Shelter. That's the leaf. Berserk is different. That's going to be, actually it almost looks like this sword with the plus symbol as well. So one is going to increase HP and with a hit, as well as Berserk, and we'll look at those a little bit closer because the symbols are very similar, but they do slightly different things. So our symbols are going to be slightly different. Speed Blessing, that's going to increase the attack speed of everyone. And War Blessing is also going to increase the damage of all the troops. So when we go back to these reports, he also has Combo that's going to extra physical damage. This is a shield, so that's going to take and decrease the physical damage received. Anger is going to increase his physical damage, and then he has his ultimate skill as well. So let's replay this battle now that we know the skills that are in place and see if we can exemplify what battle buffs are going to be represented in each one. So when we pull this up, we have control to immunity. Like I said, that's going to be dealing with Fighting Master. This is Cleave from Dragon Power. That's Quinn's ultimate skill. This is Energy Suppression. This one here is Shelter. That's restoring the HP after receiving damage. The other one is a HP and hit. That one is coming from Berserk. I don't see that one yet. This one is increasing all damage. And if we remember, he had placed a skill on to allow for that, as he did for increasing attack speed. So the attack speed was also, I believe, done by Berserk, but there was another skill he had on that allowed for that increased attack speed as well. So we're going to exit out of this, hit play, and see if we can pull up a couple of more. Get the dragon in. The dragon, there we go, almost. I believe it's the second one that's going to take and do the stun. Nope, maybe the first. All right, so now we have poison. That's from Toxic Nova. Bleed, that is coming from Chaotic Blade. We'll continue to watch the battle reports. Almost there. This is the one where the dragons are stunning. So we will see stun here. That's preventing the target from moving or attacking. Note that it does allow for them to still regain energy. And then this is that hit in HP regeneration. That's the one that's coming from Berserk. So it's restoring the HP after receiving a normal attack. So like I said, the symbols are very similar, but the leaf is shelter and it's actually calling out shelter as your skill. This is Berserk. That's your hit and health regain points after receiving a normal attack. We're going to hit play again. I'm going to pause it here because I want to pull out. This is the absorption shield, so it's absorbing the damage received. That's related to Charles' exclusive ultimate skill. Anything new here? Nope. So we're going to continue playing. And you'll notice like some of them will tell us what's happening here. So you'll notice it says stun, poisoned, cleave, HP regen, shield absorbs. You'll notice that she's going to pull her into the void, I believe. Let's see here. There we go. He's back now. And then he's gone. Lance thrust. So you'll notice different activities occurring with these. But I do hope that you, as you're watching these, like I said, you can watch them live as they're going through. But for me, I really like to pause when I'm seeing specific buffs I really want to investigate. Really, especially at the beginning of the game, I always pull up those buffs to see what I'm dealing with and how my immortals are aligned in relation to those buffs, because that's going to help me understand a little bit more about, again, how I can build an offensive and defensive team. So when I go to battle these immortals again in the future, I can. Now you'll just see this symbol here. This is a different symbol than what we've seen before. This is burn. So that's actually coming from the dragon skill for the lightning dragon. You'll also see burn effect from some of the other skills that inflict burn, but that's a new skill there that you'll observe. This one here we've already seen. This one here is increasing critical damage. So that's coming from increased crit. And that's one of the skills that we have. I believe William's triggering that one, but it could be the dragon skill as well. Because both the dragon has a skill to increase crit, as does William. And that's William's ultimate skill. So we'll continue watching this one just a little bit longer so we can pull these apart a little bit further. Because we might be able to see a decreased crit as well. We'll see if that's actually placed on any of these. So we do have that symbol here, which you haven't seen either, and that's your reduced attack speed. This is going to increase your attack speed, so it's the inverse. And that's your seriously wounds prevented from heals. I'm going to continue watching. I think we're going to exit at this point here. So I hope this helps you when you're watching these replays for these battles, reviewing these battle reports, watching the different skills. And that's before we even go into the stats page and look at the damage that each of these immortals are taking. Actually, got to get back to that one we were at. There we go. Here, we'll do this one here. Into the stats reports. So you'll see these heals that occurred. The healings we can see are from the Terra Shield and Shelter. This one's coming from Shelter and Empress's Favor, Empress's Favor, Empress's Favor, which is Zenobia's exclusive skill. And then we have Support or Ultimate skill, sorry, and Shelter, which are 2 additional skills that we have placed, which are selectable skills onto Zenobia. We can also look at damage taken, and we can see exactly what damage has been taken and what skills are used and how those impacted us. So you'll notice that Quinn, we have Dragon Power that was used on us. We should also see from Hannibal possibly a cleave, and we do, and that's from Dragon's Power, as well as the cleave that he had on his immortal in itself, and then the cleave that's within the ultimate skill for Hannibal as well. So now you can look at those skills that we know are on these immortals, look at these battle reports, and really understand even further when these attacks occurred, how those attacks occurred, where in the battle we were when these skills were triggering and affecting those buffs that we were just reviewing, that buff report. And as a collective whole, you can really start to dissect these armies. And then once you're able to do this for yourself, you can then look at the Throne of Supreme battles and start looking at which mortals might be able to win the marches and place more strategic bets. So I hope this video helps with those buff reports, how I use those buff reports, why I find pausing those battles to open up the buff reports is absolutely critical. And if you liked the video, please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, have a wonderful day.